if you had a running IV, I hope you're not giving him Lasix, because that would kind of defeat the purpose. Since Lasix is diuretic. So let's just say we have to give morphine. So let's say we drew up our, I don't know, 2.5 milligrams of morphine. We diluted it in 5 mLs of normal saline. If they have something running, you don't want to disconnect them from the main site, because again, that's one thing the IV Nurses Association really enforces. Every time we disconnect, reconnect, even when you're swabbing with alcohol, the risk of infection for the patient goes up and up every time you disconnect, reconnect. So what you can do if you have a running IV, and this is one of your checklists too, I think it's the one before this one. So if you go up to page 37 maybe? No, I guess it starts on page 36. And the one extra step you have here is you have to make sure what you're giving in the syringe is compatible with what's infusing. If they're not compatible, then you have to do the disconnecting, flush it with saline, give the med, flush again. If they're compatible, you can give it right through the Y port. So it will, and when you're giving something IV push, you want to give it through the Y port that's closest to the patient. So what you can do, if this were a pump, I would momentarily stop the pump. I'm going to close this. Now, your checklist says to attach a syringe and see if you get a blood return. I never do that with a running IV, because I figure if it's running, it's good. I mean, you still want to assess it, but I tend to not do that, so I tend to skip that step. It's not really necessary. So again, swab this, take off whatever you drew it up with, attach this. You either have to clamp it or you have to pinch it, because if you don't pinch it, it's going to go back up. So they'll get it eventually, but not while you're standing there. So then, again, you push it through. I'm doing it fast. I would do it over the amount of time it says. Oh my goodness, it's not going. I didn't take my clamp off.
You would think you would get that, but you'll be practicing for years. You're gonna be like, oh, I can check the clamp, because you get talking and stuff. It'll happen.
Then I let go. Unkink it. It'll start to flow.
You still need to flush it?
No, you can let it. You can let it go with the infusion. I mean, you're gonna stay there and make sure. Most of it you've kind of pushed that way, but you're gonna. It's not like you're gonna start the pump on and walk away. I would start this back up. You could flush it with another. It's not wrong to do that. I have done that. Because you think it's like sitting in here.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like to do that. But you don't have to flush it, believe it or not. And then, I would get this going. I would stay with the patient and make sure everything's. Because some of the medicine's got to be sitting. Though I did push it through. And then you're done. This is nice, too, because it's kind of a time saver. That's it. The end. Good?
Mary, I don't get, why do you have to check for blood return if you're just going to go ahead anyway?
I don't know, Sherry. That's a good question. Okay. I mean, and I can tell you, I don't always check for blood return. I've gotten out of the habit because I'm going to flush it anyway.
Okay.
But it's not a bad idea. Best practice tells us always check for a blood return. And it is nice to get when you do get one, because you can say, oh, I know this is really working. And it's kind of a confirmation to me sometimes. If I think an IV is bad and I'm not sure and I don't get a blood return, I feel like this has got to really be bad. And you're going to see some nurses don't check for a blood return. Some flush and then check and then flush. I mean, I think it's good practice, but I understand what you're saying, because you're going to flush it anyway.
All right.
And you don't always get a blood return.
Right.
So, but it is good practice.
Yeah, it's just one more tool for assessment.
Yeah.
I feel like they do it a lot when they first do the IV or
Oh,
something.
we have to when you first.
Yeah.